Hey, welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. Real estate agents and money. I've heard it said before that if you want to get rich, sell stuff to real estate agents. Why is that? Why is it that real estate agents have a great reputation for making money, but not as good a reputation of accounting for it or keeping it? That is the topic of today. And I have with me an individual who is the perfect solution for you. If you tend to be like me, very entrepreneurial, very visionary, very excited to build a business, yet that accounting side is that, oh yeah, shoot, then there's that part of it. I have with me Eric Jonassy. So Eric, thank you for coming on the show today. Really grateful to have you here.
Absolutely, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know Eric, he owns Drive Accounting. It's a bookkeeping service that actually does a lot of different types of businesses, but has a specialty with home builders and with real estate agents. And so I've asked him to come on today to talk about how like 2 tips that real estate agents can implement today to help them be better with their accounting, with their money. So Eric, thank you again for coming on. Let's delve right into it because I know you're a busy man.
It sounds good. Okay, so number one thing I see with realtors, we do a lot of cleanups here. And so this time of year, realtors are often asking, hey, what can I do so I don't have to go through this again? Number one thing that shortens our time is not commingling funds. Having a separate business account from your personal account. Don't put everything through one account. If you do that, it takes a lot more time to separate the two, what's business and what's personal. Whereas if everything's through the business, worst case, at the end of the year, you could total everything and get it to your CPA. So that's number one on liability protection as well as accounting, keeping things separate there.
Perfect, Eric. So what I hear you saying is some agents will receive a check from their office, right, from their brokerage, and they see that as a paycheck as opposed to revenue to the business. And what I hear you saying is they should see it as revenue. It goes into a business account. At that point, expenses are accounted for, and then from that account comes a personal paycheck to them.
Yes. And that's one of them. But a lot of people will still end up spending a lot of things out of their business for personal or personal for business and say, oh, I used the wrong card. And I have two. I used to do that too. I have two separate colored cards now, and I have to make a conscious choice when I'm spending. Hey, where do I want it to come from? And now it's habitual. So it makes things a lot easier to separate.
I love it. Don't commingle funds. Have a separate account. Have different colored cards that go to personal and business. Awesome tactical tips. I love it, man. All right, let's jump to point number 2. What's the point number? The second thing that real estate agents can do today to improve their money management.
So you hit the nail on the head. You know, over 80% of the businesses that I run into are exactly like what you mentioned. I was exactly like what you mentioned, very entrepreneurial, out there doing a lot of the business and not focusing on the back end. And it's when I got myself in trouble that way that I had that paradigm shift. So for me and the businesses that I work with, is paying attention to your numbers. And that can mean a lot of different things depending on who you're talking to. For me, I pay attention to where my business comes from. Who are my best referral sources? Is it different networking groups? Is it websites? Is it, et cetera? Figuring out where my new clients are coming from. Figuring out, have they worked with me over time and things like that. The second thing, also revenue-based, is I pay attention to what types of services. For us, it's controller work or consulting or bookkeeping. And is it a bookkeeping cleanup or bookkeeping maintenance, or is it some of the other ancillary services? For real estate agents, it's buying, selling, referral. Is it commercial or residential? Is it you can break this down quite a bit as far as where the business comes from. Did it come from Zillow? Did it come from a referral? Did it come from a past client? Things like that. So splitting revenue is a big one. The other part of paying attention to your numbers is simple budgeting, figuring out and making a plan. So number one thing that has helped our business grow is that we do everything in our business with intentionality. We don't do anything by chance. If you're doing something in your business, you should know why you're doing it. And there's the old turkey or the old Christmas ham analogy where the girl asks her mom, why do we cut the ends off the ham? He says, well, I don't know. We've always done it that way. So they go talk to mom and, to grandma. And they say, well, my mom always did that. Let's go ask her, if she's around. He says, oh, well, when I was growing up, the pan was too small. So my mom used to always cut off the ends. So this went through 4 generations, and we keep doing the same thing over and over, and we don't know why. So paying attention to why you're doing things. With that, I follow that up with all of my spending. So we create a spending plan, we figure out our budgets, and that doesn't mean we always stick to it, but we know what our plan was. So now I can see, okay, what am I spending on advertising per listing? What am I spending for meals or client acquisition, things like that. And these tools and managing that money wisely gives you more at the end. You're managing it better. So it helps when you're paying attention to your numbers. You're not driving blind. You're not going somewhere you haven't gone to without a map or a GPS. You're paying attention to this regularly. So those 2 things, at the base level for taxes, keep things separated. On the other level, pay attention to your numbers and figuring out what those numbers are and acting with intentionality once you have them. Those are the 2 biggest things that I found for any business, but especially real estate.
Perfect. I love it, man. Very, very concise, fantastic. Again, keep things separate, and then also know your numbers. And you gave us some great examples, Eric, of what, like, the possibilities that you could actually say, this past year, I earned this much from my sphere, and I spent
Correct.
this much on my sphere. Therefore, my ROI on my sphere is X. Boy, I ought to spend more on my sphere or grow my sphere further. And you might be able to say, Zillow leads, boy, I really thought that I was earning a lot on Zillow leads, but when I look at my ROI, it's not very good, right? And those are obviously hypothetical. It might be vice versa for you. But nevertheless, you won't know until you run the numbers, right? You won't know.
And these metrics are different for every type of business. A real estate broker is different than a brokerage. A brokerage has to track different things. So now you have different brokers within that brokerage that are generating money. So no 2 businesses are alike, if for no other reason that the owners want to see different things. So it's spending a little bit of dedicated time. It doesn't have to be much, and figuring out what's important to you. What do you need to look at regularly to make certain that you're on track?
Good stuff. Eric, I want to thank you, and I want to let people know that if I think the first topic, all of us could easily go implement. The second one, I know my brain, the way it's wired, I'm like, I'll just never do that, right? I just won't sit behind my accounting software to develop those kind of reports. It's just not the way I'm wired. I'd much rather go build business. And so if you're like me and you're hearing all of this, but you'd love to have that data, right? Keep in mind, the CEO of a great company is typically not also the CFO. Like, you don't have to be both, but you do need to get proper help. And I'm going to put a plug here for Eric because I believe in him. He serves several of my clients, and they've now been able to grow their business because they're working, as he mentioned, with intention. So I've asked Eric to do me a favor, and for any that are interested, Eric's going to give a free consultation to help you evaluate to see if this is a good idea for you to have somebody else take over your bookkeeping and really help you hone in on the reports that you need, the reports that you want. So for anybody that's interested, please reach out to me. You can do that via Facebook Messenger or otherwise. I'll connect you with Eric, and Eric is going to be of value to you and evaluating to see if this is the right step for you, so that you don't fall into that typical stereotype of being a real estate agent that's maybe great at earning money but not great at keeping it. So Eric, thank you again for your time today. It's been awesome, as I knew it would, and I appreciate everybody listening in as well.
Thank you, man.